The April 28th meeting of the Charter Revision Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Laura Anderson is absent. Kate Boulay. Present. Tom Cremona.
Here.
Marilyn Crisati. Here. Justin Elliman.
Here.
George Shaw is absent. Gregory Stokes.
Here.
And Rich Stroney.
Here. Okay. Minutes from April 14th meeting, not the ones in the packet, but, oh no, they are the ones in the packet, sorry. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or changes needed?
I checked Marilyn's name is spelled correctly.
So we're good.
We're good.
All right. Any other changes? Show of hands to approve. Okay, thank you. Okay. Unfinished business, chapter 2, officers and elections. Any update on that? Sheila?
Yes. Okay, so we spoke with the town attorney's office or received a town attorney direction as to how to best handle that. I think you all have the new red line version. The one that I emailed you is exactly the same except for one change. And that's on page 3. And so the change is on this version that you didn't get emailed is the 2 registrars is crossed out. There is a law in Connecticut that allows under certain circumstances for a minor party to also have a registrar of voters. It happens very infrequently. It wasn't, I don't know if Hartford still does, but it wasn't too many years ago that Hartford had 3 registrars of voters. So the attorney's office felt that it would be best to just leave it that we elect registrar of voters for terms of 2 years and not to put a number on it. It's not a big deal because statute would supersede it anyway if they qualified and were able to qualify to get a 3rd registrar.
Any concerns or issues with that edit?
No.
Show of hands just to accept that one edit. Okay, thank you. Okay, and that was the last of the open items.
And well, we didn't vote on the rest of that edit.
Oh, that's right, because they had the whole
Right.
legal section. So any concerns on the rest of the edit?
So we just added the red
That
line,
last
the
one.
election of constables shall be discontinued effective with the November 2nd, 2027 municipal election.
Motion to accept section 1 as revised. Marilyn?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. Now we're good. Excellent. Thank you, Sheila.
Obviously, it doesn't matter now, but I'm guessing in like 10 years' time, when the next commission comes along, they'll clean out some of this language, like once the constable's all gone and just be like,
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of similar to when you look down with planning and zoning, and then even in Board of Ed, it says in 1973, and everybody, they leave a lot of that in just for the historical to know when whatever started or when constables stopped. So sometimes they leave it in just for the historical value.
When you're on the commission in 10 years? You'll remember?
I won't plan on being here, so.
in Enfield or in this plane of existence still?
I mean, I'm hoping.
Just on this commission, the next commission. Okay, my thought for this evening was to go just page by page on the red line, make sure there's no major items that we've missed, need to be modified. And then as we do each section with edits, I don't know, how do we want to break the buckets? And by buckets, I mean if we want to suggest to the town council how to break up the referendum. My original thought was bucket number 1 is just the simple edits, no big deal, just it's a cleanup type bucket. And I think that's what we were talking about last week. Second one were just updates based on changes to the town, changes to structure. For example, animal control officer now reporting to the chief of police, as an example. So when it comes to mind. And then the third bucket are the big ones that might be more of a concern from the electorate perspective. I'm open to other ideas. I don't know if they'll go for 3 buckets.
I think personally, if we split it at all, there should just be 2 One, which is everything we think people could care less about, and they're just like, sure, update it.
Mhm.
And then the second, which is, I don't think we have a lot that's gonna be truly I'm actually for just one. I don't even know if we need two, but if everyone else thinks we need two, I think two is the max.
I think the only, and I don't disagree with two, and that's the way I was leaning as well. We talked about three last week, but one, I think we run into the same scenario we ran into last November, which if someone didn't want like one little piece, again, I'll use my example of the animal control officer reporting to the chief of police, then they're gonna nix the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the edits and the cleanup stuff that we're trying to get through won't happen.
I guess that's something we can discuss as we go, if we think, if there's any pieces that we think will be the controversial one. I guess because for me reading it, I don't see any of it as too controversial this
I
time
don't see a
around.
whole lot of being controversial.
No, I think there's only a couple little things in there of concern.
I think the only thing might be how we change how referendum works on budget stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not even sure people be disagreeing with that, they might just be a little confused on the percentage of it.
Well, right, and we can talk through those as we get there. So how about that then? We look at if there's a major item for the second, I'll call it the second bucket, that's what we'll really talk about. Everything else will just be considered general updates and changes.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Second question, did any of the counselors get back to us from last time since we're basically done?
I haven't heard anything back.
Just general.
Anyone else? No?
I live with it, so.
What Bob said,
I haven't
Marilyn.
heard from anybody,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah. All right, and so my thought was just on the red line copy, we just go by page, and that way we can just close out each page and work through this. Again, if there's a major item that you think we need to put in the more significant bucket, we can do that then.
So are you just gonna name, if you think it's just a general clarification or grammar or clerical, and then just pull out anything that
I'm going to-
potentially should be pulled out, or,
If everyone agrees,
okay,
we'll only point out the more concerning items.
okay.
How's that? And feel free, if you think it could be a thing that would be a showstopper for the general bucket.
I mean, we have a lot of,
Discuss it.
we have a lot of different perspectives here, so we can see from the
Yeah.
left, the right independently,
Mhm.
is there any angle where we can see where people might not like it?
Right.
I have a silly question before we get started. I notice here, how it refers to as the town of Enfield in this document. Is this document what decides the town's name? The charter?
No,
That's
Oh.
a corporation.
the corporation papers. just-
Oh, okay. Okay, I was curious about how it opened. I'm like, wait, not that I want to change it, I was like, wait, this is what decides that?
Yeah, it just identifies the territorial limits and then the corporate name of the town of Enfield,
Good.
if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah. Curiosity, really.
Chapter 1, I'll just do it that way. So page 2. All good? Okay. Chapter 2, section 1, 2, 3, and 4, we'll group those. Well, let's do 1, 2, and 3 first. And we're looking at this for anything we might have missed, along with anything we might think might be more of a concern or need a deeper explanation for the public to understand. So just section 1, we took out constables, that was the big thing, municipal office clarification.
And then legal language to protect ourselves.
And then the term starting date, the Monday following election day, just to formalize that in here. So in
Fine.
section 1, 2, and 3, anything of concern? Section 4, vacancies. We did some major amendments there, shown on page 4. And that was basically in terms of replacing any vacancy.
Right.
And it will be part of the party whose vacancy has it gets to decide.
So no more of that interviewing from the other party and all that happens.
Based on this, right, so the Democrats will fill their vacancies, Republicans, the challenge is the,
I think that's good.
And the way the attorney
Absolutely.
worded this, it allows the council of the party, of the vacating party, to vote, to make a vote with less than 6 votes, because it also says in other parts of the charter that nothing can be passed with less than 6 votes.
So,
this is carves out an exception to that.
so just to ask as an example, it stops, say, the majority party from trying to hold up the minority party from filling their seat.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And allowing the minority party to put in who they think
Yeah.
is the best for that, without any interference from the other party. Any,
I think that's an easy one to include in the main thing of it.
I've always thought that was only appropriate.
Section 5. It's just about public hearing.
Right, to alter voting districts, we had to do that anyway, and the previous commission felt that altering any council district boundaries, that it should be,
Public hearing.
we should get public input.
Absolutely.
I only had one question when I read this past week, is adding the word standing subcommittees, because the council at times can appoint ad hoc subcommittees for a certain purpose. I mean, if they were to have,
Where are you?
I'm in section 5, prior to the council vote to approve or disapprove the recommendation of the subcommittee, a public hearing shall be held.
Their standing subcommittees are listed in their rules of procedure, a
Okay.
separate document.
Right, and what I'm saying though is, it just is generic, it says subcommittee. Say the council has an issue they're dealing with, they appoint a special subcommittee, for a 2-month period to review something or whatever, I just wondered if we just want to make it standing. I'm good either way, but I just thought I'd bring it up that would come as a question, that if they were to have 5 extra subcommittee ad hoc that they appoint for a short period of time, that really aren't dealing with anything of the public nature, before they make a decision, they have to go to a public hearing, I'm not sure.
Right, I don't know if this should be spelled out but it's my understanding anyway, that that subcommittee is actually a subcommittee consisting of the registrars that
Okay.
make the recommendation to it.
Yeah, because this
Is
is,
related to the changing the boundaries and
I
such.
believe it is.
so should we just
Lou
do we-
Fiore's.
clear up that language to
But we
specify?
can-
That's fine then, yeah.
Hold that and see if we need to clarify it, but I believe that subcommittee is the registrars who go through all of the council districts and they count how many
Right.
resident voting, registered voters there are in each, and it's, they try to balance it out a little bit more, but we can clarify that.
Is that by state statute? Or is that by
That's not
council?
my part of elections, so I haven't paid much attention to that, but.
Because I thought council said that, so it was members of council that did that.
No, I believe that the registrars make the recommendation and then, but
They recommend
we
to
can
the
clarify
council
it, we
as a-
can
as a
clarify it.
subcommittee.
I know last time that last time they went before council to adjust the council districts, it was the registrars that came up and presented it for vote. And
Yeah, we-
they decided not to make the change at
We
that
did
time.
it back,
So I
when
don't,
it was 2000.
I don't know a lot about
2012. Yeah, I was part of that, I remember.
How often has it done, like a decade or?
No, basically, you should do it with the census. Of course, this whole
Yes.
country decided to do things different these days. But, to me, it should be done at a, time of the census,
That's right, because there is no really established thing in here saying the council has to do it, dude. Does it? Like, if the council wants to, they can never change the boundaries again?
All your boundaries get changed at a certain time. I mean, you get, your congressional gets changed. I remember when.
I mean, I guess I specified, none of the town
Right,
council district can
but not
change.
the
Yeah.
town council district.
That's what I, should we
The
almost,
other districts are by state law.
should we almost add something where it has to be revisited every 10 years?
No, I
Like,
wouldn't get into that.
Well, I think the state law, there's a state statute that requires that the districts be even in terms of population, right? That's, I'm trying to remember way back when we
Well, no, I
did
think
it.
all of them, just like the congressional district, or the state rep districts are
They adjust them.
22,000 per, on the average, they're gonna be mixtures or whatever, so.
And that has to be done with census, otherwise you're.
Yeah,
Right.
To me, is anything else, open it up before or whatever, it becomes political, and I think there's, just, to be honest, I'm so tired of seeing this nationwide, where everybody's, census when you do it, play by the rules, so.
I think it's about 5 years ago they did it.
Yeah.
Because I remember them coming and speaking at our committee, and it had to do with Park Ave. I think it was Park Ave and Belmont. There were a few houses that are like anomalies.
Yeah.
And that was the last one I remember.
I just,
Sounds about right.
9-169 pertains to, it states the legislative body of the town, consolidation town and city, or consolidated town and borough may divide and re-divide such municipalities into voting districts. The registrar of voters must provide suitable polling places in each district, and doesn't say on this. Keep looking. I don't know if you want to move forward and,
yeah,
I'll just
I
look
didn't
up
mean
the
to put a
actual
hammer in there,
statute.
just something I thought.
Yeah, it's worth clarifying. Okay. Anything else from section 2 or close that out? Okay. Section 3, chapter 3, section 1 and 2. Section 2 just clarifies minority leader.
Yeah.
Okay. Section 3, one little edit there. Section 4, minor edits, unless agreed to by the majority vote of the council. Right, and that's for the meetings itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Section 5, just clarifying except as stipulated by general statutes. I don't see that as a major concern, required anyways. 6, this is about publishing electronically and not having to go in the newspaper, and then adding the disclaimer that the full copy is available to town clerk. Good. Okay. Section 7 on page 6 and it's page 7. And again, if you see any other edits that need to be made, please bring those up. Section 7E clarifies town clerk, not the registrar of voters. Section 8, section 9. And we added in there, shall be removed by office by unanimous vote of the town council members seated and present, excluding the subject members. Okay. And section 11. Added 2/3 affirmative vote for the audit report.
Yeah.
So the 3 consecutive years could be extended. Right. Okay, all good there so far?
Yep.
Section 12 added. Any concerns about that? I think that's actually a good thing to be added in there.
Yep.
Okay. Chapter 4, town manager appointment. Clarified the role a little bit, gave a little more flexibility to the town council. Concerns?
Nope.
Okay. Section 2, changing it to vacancy and then giving the council an extension opportunity of 30 days for the filling the vacancy. Yep. Section 3 duties, couple edits there, minor. Again, taking out the printing. And section 4. Okay. Chapter 5, section 1, town attorney. We added in B there for the vacancy. That was the suggestion from the town attorney. With that verbiage, any concerns? Okay. Section 2 and 3, no changes to planning, zoning, and ZBA. Section 4, Board of Assessment Appeals. Clarified the structure of it. And that's more in line with the other 2 boards as well. Planning and zoning and Board of Appeals. Let's go with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Section 5, no changes. Section 6, no changes. Section 7. Just clarifying that the council can add other departments if appropriate. Section 8, on page 11, no changes. Page 12 has a couple updates. Collector of revenue instead of tax collector are the first couple. Chairman to chair, and removing the newspaper requirement.
That's good.
Good?
Yep.
Section 9, Public Works. There's only one minor edit on page 13 of that. Section 10, removing the animal control officer, moving that down to the chief of police as my example was. Page 14. We added in just the inclusion of the town manager and any suspension matters. Okay, and then the rest of the page, no changes there. Page 15, same thing, just giving the town manager the ability to approve the removal. Section 11, slight change. Section 12, no change. Section 13, taking pressure off Sheila, putting on Director of Finance.
I don't like that.
And section 14, no items. Good so far?
Good, yeah.
Chapter 6. Balance of 16, there's no changes. Other than the bottom on 3C, showing 3 fiscal years of information. Changing chairman to chair. Section 4, again, removing newspaper as a requirement, changing chairman to chair. Page 18, a little clarification, typo fix. Section 5, no changes. Section 6, collector of revenue change. Section 7, just a clarification on words. Section 8, no changes. Section 9, and I'm going to throw this as one that we need to put in the bigger bucket. I think from the perspective of really explaining this to the public, that it's not giving the town the ability to do whatever it wants with money, but it can definitely use the money that's given to them, not out of the budget, but from grants and state and federal.
Just a pass-through.
Yes, and I think the text that we write up in support of this should just reflect that clarification. Again, I see this as one of the big ones that the residents might be concerned with if they don't take the time to understand. Okay, section 10, borrowing, clarifying that it has to be the electors of the town by referendum. Section 11, do you think there'll be a concern with the town going from 5 to 10?
I think it'd be an issue because it is a major change. I mean, I think it's easy to explain, but it'll probably be in the last grouping, you know,
Yeah.
because it is a change.
Yeah, my concern there is when they see the money going up, they may misunderstand that to mean that we're going to give more.
Or give more, yeah, instead of understanding
Versus
that
it being a
we're
standard budget.
streamlining the issue based upon, back then it was put in, you probably had a town budget of 3 million or something, you know, so.
Okay, And then we changed members to liaison, just clarifying that so that there's less of pressure on these organizations and the individuals. Okay. Section 7, I'm sorry, Chapter 7, Sections 1, 2, and 3. No edits. Chapter 8, no edits with that. So for the significant ones, we had Section 9 and Chapter 6. Section 9, and then in Section 11. Anything else jump out that we need to treat differently than just simple edits and updates?
I looked it over the last week, over the weekend.
Yeah, those two were the only two that I had as the biggest concerns. I don't disagree that just keeping it to 2 buckets should be good enough.
Well, before we get there, I'd like to talk a little bit about whether we could do 1.
Okay.
Okay, but before I'd just like to clarify, if we had 2 and bucket 1 passes and bucket 2 fails, what happens then? I mean, at the referendum, let's say the council agrees and they keep it as 2 buckets. We make it to referendum and bucket 2 fails, but bucket 1 passes. What happens to the items in bucket 2?
They
Just
go
revert
revert
back.
back.
They stay where they are.
Nothing happens for 10 years.
Correct.
Just like this last time, nothing
Unless-
happened after it was
I mean-
rejected by the voters.
Is it unless the council decides to reopen the charter again?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if the council want to, we could have a charter commission every year.
I
I've heard that before, and I'm not sure I agree with that, by the way.
I would say that having it reopened in 24 and 26,
Yeah.
or really 25, really, is unusual.
Yeah, I don't know, it's one of these, to me, it's a little bit of gray in terms of can they theoretically do it every year?
Well, I mean, that's in here. I mean, if we want to, we can clarify in the charter itself how we want to.
No, that goes by state law.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, that's a state, I don't think it's here, I think it's state law.
Okay.
State law says it must be every 10 years.
Yeah,
State law says you're supposed to review it every 10 years.
yeah.
You can open it up in less than 10 years at the vote of the council.
And usually you open it up in the 50-year mark of the census will be 2030, so that's, usually you open up in the midst of that, so.
Because I think I understand the logic of the 2 buckets being, well, we don't want to lose all of the work that we did for bucket 1. And that seems pretty, I guess we're confident that would pass. But by spiking out the 2 items, I guess I'm a little nervous that it puts a tension on them that might not be gathered otherwise if it was all 1 bucket.
I had, a couple of things we were saying that is, if they're gonna probably have the school modernization on the ballot. So you really just wanna have no more than 2 referendum questions because it gets kind of confusing. The other thing is, and now that I'm thinking about it, is that by separating them, people are gonna get in there and say, well, this is the one that has no changes. This must be a reason why this has been separated. It must be so controversial it's separated. And because there's only 2 basically changes, I think it's safe to go with the 1.
And I think
Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about.
I agree with Tom and Greg. I don't think these are that controversial, really. It just
No, they're not.
And I think if you do separate them, voters are gonna go, there must be something more to this that I don't understand. I'm gonna vote against this because I don't get it. And they separated it, so it must be something crazy that I'm just not comprehending here.
And the commissions,
Yeah.
just for clarification, this is a recommendation.
Yeah.
So the council has the
Yeah.
ultimate decision on how the questions are
Yeah.
worded.
And you gotta think too, just, we all know this, if the council bipartisan, if they're unified, and they're satisfied with it, there won't be a lot of controversy. You know what I'm saying? So when they get their first look, if they send something back to us, then we fix anything and get it back to them. But I don't see this as anything where the entire council is saying, yeah, it's a good document. I see, you know, I don't see anything where you're gonna have one party out saying, don't vote, or one voting for it. You know, and I think the responsible thing for us to do is present it with something that they can uniformly pass and recommend. And that's done, because we're dealing usually one party, you know how it goes. If you got one party for it, one against, you're gonna lose votes over here. But if everybody's on board, then there's not a lot of controversy
So
to it.
I don't disagree with that. I think my concern though is, do we know why they turned down that other referendum?
I think we can
Right.
strongly say why we,
Was it the budget line thing?
yeah.
From the feedback that I heard,
Yeah.
if I'm allowed to say, it was the referendum and the residency requirement of the
Right.
town manager.
I heard exactly the same
The
thing.
biggest one was gonna be on the referendum.
Budget.
I mean, I didn't vote for it, so, because, you know, stay with my
Because
convictions.
personally, I didn't think the last one was that bad. I mean,
I mean,
pros and cons to that piece, but overall, I'm like, those changes made sense, right? Well, I mean, we went through all those same changes here.
You know, again, it's like, I have such a limited amount of feedback that I don't want to make it sound like I know what the town decided.
Right.
But I can just tell you that of the folks that I interacted with who voted no, unfortunately, they voted no thinking it said something it didn't say,
That's always, yeah.
right? It was a misunderstanding of what was in there. And when I talked them through, here's what it really meant. It didn't change their mind.
Right.
Okay? I'm not trying to make that point, but I'm just saying, when they voted, they didn't get it.
Right.
So how frustrating is that, right? I mean, I'd rather have them vote no for the correct reason.
Well, either way, for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, the thing is that, you know, people, the last one, it was, I don't want to say it was controversial, there was some good stuff in there, whatever, but it got out there and it got spun before it even got off the ground. And so you know, as soon as I heard the spinning from my party and other party, I began to say, yeah, this is not going to go, because this document should be, I don't want to say bland, but it should be common sense. These are the things,
Right.
bringing us up to date. It should not be radical changes to fit somebody's ideology. It should be what's best for the town, and is it fair enough, and is it neutral enough, and maybe generic enough to give guidance without restricting. So, and I think we've done that.
So Sheila, what's the order? Like, when does the public hearing happen? Does it
Yeah,
happen?
discuss that
We
next.
have to set a public hearing, which is the commission's public
Ours.
hearing,
Right.
prior to submitting the draft report to the council.
Oh, that
Prior
comes
to.
first.
Yeah.
So does the public get to see this prior to the public hearing?
Yes, on the notice of the public hearing, once the commission sets a date for our public hearing.
Right,
Not the
right.
council's,
Right.
they're gonna have one later.
Right,
Then this red line will be published,
okay.
along with the draft, suggested draft report.
Okay.
When we did for whatever this is worth, when we did the public hearing last time, I don't think it lasted 10 minutes.
I know.
No,
I don't think it did either.
Okay? There was
But
like
people do have a
nobody there.
chance
There was
to-
like
Right.
nobody there.
And same thing as before, I know we're jumping ahead here, but they'd still have the ability to respond by email, or is it purely?
that's up to you.
Okay.
That's really
Okay,
up
we'll
to the
circle back on
commission.
that. Kate, your thoughts?
I think that it's two is good, because if there's other things from other, like the Board of Education that are on the ballot, we don't want to overwhelm people. I do think that wording is very important, because sometimes it sounds like you're voting for something, but you're really voting not to have it, and it confuses people, and they get scared, and then they wonder, what are you trying to hide? So I think clarity in wording is really, really important for, especially if we are limited to two, and one of them is going to be just the edits.
Well, no, we're not limited to 2. We could do whatever we want.
Right.
But I think the 2 comment was when you have a referendum, you don't want to have a lot of questions.
Right.
And there's already going to be one about the schools.
Right.
So I wasn't quite sure if you were saying, so when ours shows up,
Uh-huh.
are you advocating for one bucket or two buckets?
Oh, two would be nice.
Okay. I don't know how we decide that. I mean,
We'll take a vote.
I think one.
One.
yeah, I would vote one.
Okay, so for those in favor of just lumping all the changes in one referendum item as our recommendation to the town council,
Yeah.
we'll just show of hands.
It'll go either way.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
So we are.
we're just gonna we'll stick with the one, and if the council wants to break it up for whatever reason, they would send it back to us, right? Oh, no, they would
No,
decide.
they won't,
They
they will
would
just,
decide.
because that comes after,
Yeah.
so
Okay,
But is
this will
there,
be submitted to the council, they have a certain amount of days, I believe, off the top of my head, 45, but don't hold me to that, to review, they send it back to the commission with any further changes that they have in your draft report, then you decide whether you're going to accept those or not, and then it goes back to the council, and then the council, then the council sets the question and all of that.
Yep.
Once they vote to forward it to referendum, they could vote to just stop it right then and there. They don't have to forward it to referendum.
would it be, do you think it would be appropriate to ensure in our, we give them like a summary memo, right?
That is the
Yeah.
draft report.
Would it be appropriate to say in that draft report, we did consider two buckets of items, but we are
You could.
recommending only one? This way, because I think they're all watching our meetings, so maybe they'll hear this
they're
conversation.
riveted. They're riveted.
All
Yeah,
of them
They're
are watching right
rewinding.
now.
By the way,
This part alone, they're rewinding right
The
now.
first part of this meeting where we're just all talking softly, okay, I'm sure that was great TV.
Right. That's fantastic.
Okay, are we as a group good with the changes that we've done here?
Yeah.
Moving forward, just one bucket recommendation as a referendum item. I don't disagree with, I don't disagree that if we break it out, it does give it more focus. That may not be necessary because they aren't huge. It's not like the budget item from last time.
Yeah.
I understand that one. Okay. Discussion regarding the draft report. How do you want to handle that, Sheila?
Well, that is up to you.
Okay.
I can tell you how the previous commission.
Do we have a copy of the last draft report?
Oh,
Yeah, it is online.
yeah.
Do you want me to go make copies for everyone? So.
That would give us a guideline, why to recreate the wheel if we.
Right.
So frankly,
Mhm.
the last commission, Tom backed me up over here. Essentially, the chair just gave me the,
Text,
no, it gave me the
authority.
authority or.
Delegation.
He delegated
There we
to
go.
me.
We're gonna
I
delegate.
wrote
That's
it,
the word of the
and then
day.
it went before the council,
Okay.
the commission
That's right.
to change.
That's right. And
So,
and
but
that's
a
that
lot of
does
it.
not need to happen.
No, but the work, a lot of it that we have in the last one is going to be appropriate.
Right, and it
This one with some
basically
minor
just
things.
goes
Section.
section by section, it kind of handles all the grammatical, gender neutral, those kinds of title changes all in one section. Well, you have it there.
Yep.
And then the more important stuff that's changing, it just gives a brief explanation. So, it's up to you really as chair, how you want to handle it. If you want me to do the first swipe, or if you want to,
So
it's
in my
really up
mind,
to
you've
you.
already done the first swipe.
Mhm.
So
So,
what I'm going to probably do is I will do the second swipe based on our changes.
mhm.
Do I send it out to the group or to you to send out, what's the appropriate way so we don't violate any?
Right, you should send it to me and I can distribute it to the group with the agenda for that meeting.
Yep.
And again, we don't,
Yeah, because I don't think there's a lot of changes and then we can discuss any edits to that.
I think most of our stuff was reviewing whether we agreed or not with the
Right.
previous commission. So
Yeah.
there weren't a ton of changes
No, just
that,
some updates that we
we
modified,
made,
yeah.
I've always been a fan of, the one person chair doing it, we reviewing it because it streamlines it, but also that's his position is to present for us, so it
Mhm.
can be in his words and
I think it was just a matter of the, the physical,
Typing skills?
Yeah.
Because you're really good at
well,
them.
maybe the
We'll just leave it at that.
leave it at that.
I'm trying to just give you the compliment and
Yeah,
avoid the
okay.
whole topic.
I sworn off computers. When I retired, I said, no.
Did you just volunteer to do it?
No.
Okay.
We can have a vote on that.
We could. Okay, that's what we'll do. With the copies, we'll just take those back, so you have them as reference. It'll be the foundation of what I do.
Right.
Do you have, that document was a PDF, right? Not the Word document?
I have the Word
If
document.
you could send me that,
Mhm.
that would be great. And I'll just leverage that. While we're on that, while we're waiting for that, let's talk about scheduling, because we do have to put a public hearing out there, some calendars and
I
such.
have a couple of other things about scheduling to discuss with
Yes,
the commission.
let's just talk about scheduling.
So that, as you all know, the council is in the middle of budget deliberations, and they would like to know if we are going to continue our meeting on the 7th or the 12th, because
Still
they
those dates
have
from us.
scheduled budget deliberations in this room.
Well, with that said, I'm also not available on the 19th because I'm traveling.
No, and the 19th was what I was going to suggest for a public hearing date.
I was gonna say, we are not, probably not gonna be on the 30th, right? Because there's nothing left to do until after the public hearing.
I think it's gonna, well, let's talk about scheduling. I don't think I'll have the edits in time for Thursday.
Right.
When, you don't happen to have the calendar
May 7th.
availability, do you? Available, so we can
I do.
reschedule. So just as if someone is willing to make a motion to cancel the April 28th meeting, second?
30th meeting, you mean?
Yeah, today.
I'm sorry, April
If
30th.
you want to cancel tonight, we're.
I want to cancel tonight, I'll redo it on the 30th. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so we'll cancel the 30th.
Okay, so April 30th. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So our next scheduled time would be the 7th.
Well, not the fifth. We didn't have the fifth.
We didn't have the 5th, no.
No Cinco de Mayo?
No,
Cinco de Mayo. That was my idea.
So how firm are they in needing this room? And could we meet somewhere else?
I could check to see, I can check to see if we can, you're talking about on the 7th? I can check and see if the Enfield room is available.
Or even on the 12th?
Or even the Thompsonville room. The problem is with that is it would not be able to be televised.
So I guess we would have to make the
So
agreement.
keep in mind, this doesn't need to be televised, and a lot of the work we've done already is the
the
important work. So
part
I'm not worried
Yeah.
about the televised part. What about May 4th?
May 4th is a council meeting.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
If we need a place, my business has a conference room that can seat 10.
No, we have to do it here, right?
Oh, it has to be, okay.
So are we trying to decide the next meeting or when we're doing the public hearing?
The meeting.
The meeting.
So do they want May 7th?
May 7th, I was asked today if the commission was going to be meeting on it because of a scheduling conflict with council deliberations. So, we can try to keep that date and I can check and see if the Enfield room is available, or there's a small room upstairs, a Thompsonville room that we don't use very often, but we're a small group, so.
Yeah, it would hold us, yeah. We've done a lot of committee
Yeah.
meetings over the years.
I'm not worried about that. If there's a space
So I
available,
can
I
just-
think we need the 7th unless we want to meet on Cinco de Mayo.
No, the issue with my own work, I need to know some of this in advance, so I'd rather stick with the 7th and
Yep.
just cram ourselves into whatever closet we can find.
So if we have the space, let's keep the 7th, and I'd say same thing with the 12th,
And then we
just
just,
in case we need it.
Okay,
so the 7th meeting will be you presenting.
We're gonna review the text
Okay,
part of that.
and then after that, we need to decide a public hearing?
We're gonna decide that tonight.
No, I mean, like, that's the next meeting, that'll be after the May 7th meeting will be public
I
hearing.
think we should be good to go at that point for public hearing, right, Sheila? Once we get the text set,
once you get right,
we should be good for public hearing. We need to squeeze in a meeting in between we certainly can, but,
Is there a day of the week that's more typical? for
we have
public
the
hearings?
26th on the schedule already. Can we should that be public?
That's fine, but what do we have after that? Let me pull.
We have no meeting scheduled after
All right,
that.
so remember that
We have
the
the
point of the
meeting.
public hearing is to hear input, and you may want to make additional changes if you hear the input. So you'll want to.
We would have to schedule meetings after into June, yeah.
Right. But we have a June 1st deadline for the council to submit the,
Can we also have,
Submit this draft.
we have our charter, we have the 12th, the 14th, the 19th, and the 21st right now.
21st.
21st.
You guys good with the public hearing on the 21st?
I'm not able to make it, but that's fine. I can catch it after.
May 21st.
May
that-
21st.
Cause that requires the main chambers, right?
There's no reason that we could not hold one down here. Usually, public hearings, we prefer the chambers, but I don't think there's a reason because we have the technology down here that we could not hold one if there's a conflict.
Well, what about the 14th?
So we know that this room's open on the 21st because we already have a room.
What about the 14th? Was that one of the dates that the budget, that the council needed?
No, that was the
You
12th.
can't be
I
on
think.
14th. I'm talking about the public hearing itself.
Yeah, I have 13th, I've been called to jury duty, so 12th night, I gotta call them and find out if I still gotta come in, but if I am, it starts at 13th.
All right, we'll keep the 21st then, because we have the 26th to follow up with any public input.
But the 26th will have to be our final one then, right?
But if there's changes, everything should be already all set that the changes could be made quickly.
Can you just tell me one more time, the public hearing is on,
May 21st.
right, and what was the 26th?
If we need
That's
it.
our final meeting,
Just so you know,
in case we have to do any edits.
Memorial Day is the 25th, so there is a possibility, there's a council, no, they don't have a meeting then, so.
No. No, because that's the 5th Monday.
Yeah.
5th week.
So we're gonna keep both of those meetings. I'll go ahead and I'll send you all an email to let you know about the room available for the 7th and the 12th.
So that mean, are we not doing any meetings on the 14th and the 19th then, we think?
The 19th, no.
The 19th, we're gonna cancel that.
That
That's
was,
the meeting you can't,
that's the one I'm
you're
traveling.
traveling.
I mean, I don't know what else we'd have at that point either.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking about the 14th for the public hearing.
Yeah.
We need to have a quorum, right, which is 5
For the public hearing?
for the public hearing?
For the public hearing, we still need a quorum.
Quorum, right.
Yeah. Mhm.
And who could make if we want to move the public hearing sooner than the 21st, it would have to be the 14th.
I mean, I'm sure that if I'm in Hartford, if I get called to the jury, I'm sure they'll be done.
Five.
More than enough time for me to get
Right.
there, yeah.
I think
I mean,
last
the
time.
court, I got called for jury duty like a few months ago, and I think the courthouse closed by 5,
Rich,
so.
was your intent to have the draft ready for the 7th? Is
Yes.
that your-
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll have it to you probably on Monday to get out to the group.
I like the 14th, it gives us a cushion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just a little bit of leeway, just in case someone comes to that hearing like, guys, here's an idea you didn't consider, it's amazing. Everyone gets a free
Right,
Tony.
so
in
that,
Enfield.
I don't think we can do the 14th, because if you all, if Rich presents the draft on the 7th,
Mhm.
and we won't be voting on it, so which means until that night, right? Because you've got to vote, this is our final draft. So I won't be able to get to the newspaper, the notice of the public hearing until the 8th.
And how long after the,
And there has to, I don't have enough time. It has to be 5 days' notice in the
Okay,
paper,
so-
not including the day of publication, so it's really 6 days. So I just won't have time
So
to
the
get that.
21st it is.
Right.
Okay.
Works. So we'll play by ear on the 7th if we need the 12th or 14th.
Okay.
Does that work? We'll plan to have the public hearing on the 21st.
cancel the 19th, maybe 12th and 14th if we need it.
If we don't need it, right.
And the 26th will be the final day pending any public input that we want to take into account. We'll plan to meet
Now, do you want, in that time frame, do you want me to look to see if there's a Wednesday room available
for a
for
meeting.
a public hearing,
Oh, for
for
public
the
hearing.
public hearing?
Like, what, on the,
The 20th, you mean?
You know, if there's availability with the commissioners. I can look to see what's available on a Wednesday. That might give us more time after the 7th, but earlier than the 21st. When are you,
It'd only be the
when are you
20th.
traveling?
The 17th to the,
Oh, so
I'll be home on the
that
20th.
won't make a difference
Yeah.
then, because you
the
won't.
soonest would be
Yeah.
the 20th. I
All
mean,
right,
I'm okay if
okay.
I'm okay with the 20th or 21st.
20th or
Okay.
21st, whatever's, we have the 21st on our calendar
Yep,
now.
we do, so we know we have at least this room available.
If we do a public hearing on a Friday night, that'll guarantee attendance.
Oh, yes.
15th?
Only if we serve food.
Yes.
Not funny. Not funny.
Now, the public hearing's at 6:30 or 7?
Do we decide that as well?
You all decide that.
We
What
did the
have
last one at
time?
6:30.
6:30, right?
Yeah.
Let's go with that,
Okay.
6:30?
Okay.
So we want to, we could be a real pain and be like, yeah, it's 8 in the morning, come on.
I think to set the public hearing, we should make sure to hold a formal vote with a motion in a second.
So right now, May 21st, public hearing, 6:30 PM. Do we have a motion?
Motion, oh, second
Motion
then.
and second. So Greg and Justin. All those in favor? Okay, approved. Thank you. And do we need a vote for the other dates that we talked about, or those good? Those are just administrative. Okay,
Do we need to vote if we're not gonna be doing meetings on the 12th and 14th, or I guess if we just don't show up, does that count?
no, we can just cancel, because that's just a 24-hour notice.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for the? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you very much.